Welcome, everybody, to docket 3320 WR108, the application of the City of Manitowoc for authority to adjust water rates. This is Mike Newmark, Administrative Law Judge for the PSC. We're here for the public and party sessions in this case. So we're going to start with the public session and see if we can get public comments taken here live, which may not be a very long session at this point, but just let me discuss a little bit about our notice of hearing. So we did notice the hearing today for a Zoom hearing with no physical location, where we're going to do both receive evidence from parties and staff and members of the public. We are also accepting written comments from the public, either through the Commission's website or by U.S. mail. They just need to be received no later than Friday, August 4th. And the details on how to file a comment are posted on the Commission's website in its notice of hearing, as well as the screen share and the YouTube recording will have that information displayed. We have no public comments on file so far, but I did want to mention that there is some discrepancy between the Commission's notice and the customer notice from the utility. And I just wanted to display the customer notice. We'll be entering that as an exhibit in the near future, but just for purposes of this, the utility did invite members of the public to appear in person at the Public Utilities office. So I just wanted to make sure that we were aware of that. So because of that, I can take public comments if someone does appear at the building before we adjourn. And I do understand that the utility has the facilities to accommodate that, and will remain, and those facilities will remain open until the end of the hearing. In the future, though, I just wanted to let everyone know, staff and the utility, that we really should be coordinating this ahead of time and have both notices say the same thing in terms of where the hearing will be located. And just a matter of coordinating that ahead of time. If any utility wishes to do so, they may request to have invite customers to their location. At least municipal utilities can do that. Once we have that coordinated, we'll make our notices reflect the same information, so there's no confusion among customers. All right, so wanted to address that. In the meantime, so just so people know, we have no members of the public in attendance at this time. So I'm not going to discuss the process that we take for public comments, but I did want to say that we will just check the list again at the end of the hearing, end of the party session, to see if anyone's joined us from the public, and we can reconvene the public session to take that comment. So in Manitowoc, just let me know if there's anyone from the public who does show up at that location, and we'll I'll just need to know that. So okay, so at this point I can adjourn the public session and we'll begin our party session, and we can start with appearances. So we have our service list. Easiest thing to do is just go alphabetical. So we have Central Brown County Water Authority, who is appearing on behalf of that party.
Lori Cubza and Nicholas Sparacio.
Okay. And Manitowoc Public Utilities.
Eric Callisto and Gary Bridgens from Michael Best and Friedrich. I believe, Your Honor, the updated service list has Gary on it. I didn't see it on the one that you pushed out.
Okay, I might have created that earlier. Okay, well, thanks for mentioning that. I'll double check and make sure.
A number of our client witnesses are in attendance as well.
Yes. Okay, great. Thanks. And Public Service Commission.
Stephanie Bedford, Assistant General Counsel, appearing on behalf of the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin.
All right. And just to note that Stephanie's camera is inoperable at the moment, just a technical glitch. So I'm going to allow an appearance just by audio. Okay.
Thank you. I have contacted the help desk and have not yet received a response. So hope springs eternal that I'll be appearing on camera before the end of this hearing.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for checking in with that. All right, so we have get rid of the notice and and service list on the screen share. We'll move on to our offered evidence list. Look a little bit cramped on your screen, but you should have a copy. All parties should have a copy of this sent by email. At least the version that existed yesterday. Today, there's a few more additions. We could discuss that in a minute, but I just wanted to know, we can actually do this off the record. Let's go off the record for any corrections. Did I get any of the earth numbers wrong or missing documents that were previously filed?
This is Eric Callisto for MPU. I didn't see any mistakes, Your Honor, but as you noted, there are a couple of additions here.
Yep.
Two from our side, if you want to address those now.
Let me just check with the other parties about any errors.
There's nothing we saw, Your Honor.
Okay, and commission staff.
No errors that we saw.
Okay, great. So yeah, so we do have a few additional items. I did list the Carter 5 and 6. And there, I already noticed and put in comments that we need to offer the water tariff update and document. So that'll need to be refiled as an exhibit, and then as well as the notice of hearing document should, I think, as well be refiled and offered as an exhibit.
And Your Honor, if on those two, can I just give a quick comment on them?
Yeah.
On the public notice, we're going to have that be Mr. Adams Exhibit 4.
Okay.
And we will just note that when we go through and authenticate his testimony.
Right.
And then on the tariff, I think the most up-to-date for the moment IRF reference is 446176, but I'm going to propose and would have Ms. Carter as Exhibit 7 make a filing subsequent to the hearing with 3 proposed changes to it. And I can talk about them now, and then I would have Ms. Carter talk about them on the record as well.
Okay. So the one I have listed, this 338, it's the tariff. One ends in 183. That's not the most current version.
Correct. We had updated it a few months ago.
Okay.
And the 3 edits I'm going to propose, and we'll of course authenticate through Ms. Carter, are first, and the testimony reflects this without objection from staff. MPU had initially proposed to go to daily charges for PFP, as well as customer charges. We're no longer pursuing that. So the updated 7 would take those changes out. The second change relates to a proposal by MPU in response to your marginal note about how they would estimate water use for a meter tampering customer. We do have a proposal for that, and so she will testify about that, and then the updated exhibit would reflect that. And the final edit to that Exhibit 7 would just be an administrative fix. The last few pages are the water extension rules, which have actually been changed in MPU's most recent CA docket. And the version that we filed on our both versions initially had the older rules. So we would just fix that to make sure that the complete tariff filing was accurate and up to date.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Yeah, we have the witness explain that. I did have a question though, just a preliminary question. So I noticed my confusion, the reason for my comment about how to calculate lost use. I think it was because the testimony had included the tariff change, but it missed the bottom lines of the sub 4. It didn't actually, on the testimony, it didn't say that the compensation shall be estimated based on historical consumption, but the tariff does. So I didn't know, when I went back and found the tariff language, I thought, well, that answered my comment, answered my question. But is there something different then that we're going to expect for language?
Well, we know we interpreted your comment a little differently. We thought maybe you wanted more granularity. And so we have a proposal to do that, which adopts language from the existing tariff for unmetered use, basically 500 CF per month. We would propose putting that language in to give a metric similar to what's used in the electric side, which has a KWH metric. And we will continue to propose that at this point. Even though our interpretation was apparently wrong, we think it's probably a good clarification and provides a little more detail.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the commission might want to make a decision on that as an option, because I did notice going through some electric tariffs that have language about tampering. Most of them do talk about using an estimate based on historical consumption. So when I found this document that the utility proposed, I wasn't surprised by that language. So it seemed to be consistent with other utility tariffs.
I think the language would be proposed in the alternative.
Okay,
So
all
we
right.
could not find historical consumption, then we'd have a benchmark to use.
Okay, so so as long as the witness Carter can explain that two alternatives on the record, that should be fine. Although, I mean, I think we want to keep this language in because the commission usually will just look at it, what's proposed, and needs the actual language in order to approve it. So if we want to, have them both in the filing as alternatives, that would be good.
Judge Newmark?
Yeah.
I've also noticed the staff filed an exhibit on IRF yesterday, Butzlaff 11.
Yes.
And that's not listed on the offered evidence list either.
So I added it on mine, and we'll be able to, if you want to. So have parties reviewed that? Have they had a chance to see Butzlaff 11?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so so when we so what I need to do is when we get on the record, the documents that haven't been that weren't filed in a specific round of testimony, we'll have to move those in, or I can ask for objections for those. The rest of them can't be objected to at this point because you've passed the time for that. But so everything up to rebuttal can't be objected to, but filings filed after rebuttal still subject to objections. So we'll need to get those in, and then but there's no objections, they'll go right in, so that's not a problem. So any other issues with the filings?
No issues with the filings, but I do have someone from IT here in my office right now getting me set up on a camera, and he says that I would need to restart my computer to get it working. So I guess the question is whether it's more important for me to be on camera or.
Yeah, let's just go off the record for a minute. It shouldn't take long.
Okay, I'll restart.
We were off the record.
Yes.
Okay.
So we want to be able to see the on the screen.
Preserve all.
Can screen share come on a full screen?
While we're off the record, I can make a different announcement, and that is we've started a new YouTube channel just for hearings so that we can schedule hearings and commission meetings at the same time if necessary. This is our first hearing to be live streamed through the new channel. To get to that channel, it's easy to do during the live stream because you just go to the same broadcast page like you have been doing, and it just links to the new channel automatically. Otherwise, if you just search for Public Service Commission hearings, you'll probably, if you search YouTube, I'm sorry, for our channel, if you put Public Service Commission Wisconsin, you'll just see two channels. One is the main channel and one says is specific for hearings. So in case you want to get a recap of the hearing, you need to go to that channel to see the recording. Doesn't look like this worked. Stephanie, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
However, this hard reboot doesn't seem to have done anything to remedy the camera situation.
All right. Well, you tried.
The assistance of IT here in the room with me.
Okay. Well, you tried. I appreciate the effort, and we'll proceed this way.
Yeah, I apologize. This is an unexpected technical issue.
Yeah, that's fine. It happens. All right. So let's continue then. Before we get on the record, though, I was wondering, do we have witnesses that we can excuse that there's no cross for, or do we want to have them verify their documents live? It's up to we'll see what we have, who we have that we can do that for. Any desire for that? Oh, I guess not. Okay. So let's get started then. We'll start with the applicant's witnesses. So go ahead, Attorney Callisto.
MPU calls Cynthia Carter to the stand.
All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Ms. Carter, did you cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony and what is currently 6 exhibits in this case?
Yes, I did.
And if asked the same question, would you give the same answers today?
Yes, I would.
Any changes or modifications to your pre-filed testimony or pre-filed exhibits?
No.
And are they true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Can you please explain the red coloring on your exhibit 4 and what that was meant to do?
The red text was just meant to call out Manitowoc Public Utilities at current rates and proposed rates from the lengthy list of utilities.
And as to the tariff change requests filed by MPU, does MPU have a modification proposed for the tariff edits associated with meter tampering?
Yes, we do.
And is that proposed change specifically to provide an estimate for water use for a meter that's tampered with when there is no customer specific estimate available?
Correct.
And what specifically will MPU be proposing as a change to that tariff?
We would like to add that if there is not historical consumption for that customer, we would utilize the UG1 tariff for general service unmetered which gives an estimate of 500 CF a month for a residential customer.
And if you needed to, you could break down that estimate on a daily basis if required, correct?
Yes,
And as a result of that change and additional edits to
I'm
the
definitely.
tariff modifications
That's what I have
proposed
to
by
learn.
Wait, it's
MPU,
off the record, off the record. I think Stephanie, I think you're,
Apologies. I'm just, I was
Okay.
preparing to cross the witness, but I got asked a question by my IT assistant.
okay, okay, great. Okay, let's get back on the record then. Sorry about that.
and as a result of that proposed change and additional proposed administrative changes to the tariff modifications, do you have a proposed Exhibit 7 updating the tariff changes in this docket?
I would plan to file, yes.
Subsequent to the hearing, correct?
I didn't
Correct.
hear an answer.
Correct.
Thank you.
And Ms. Carter, I'm going to describe the 3 changes that I understand MPU is proposing to the draft tariff amendments. Please confirm if it's accurate. First, because MPU is no longer pursuing modifications to the tariff on daily PFP and daily customer charges, the Exhibit 7 will remove those proposed changes from the tariff, correct?
Yes,
Second, and pursuant to the line of questioning we just had, you will add language to your proposed additions to tariff X-4 on meter tampering to incorporate a potential way to estimate customer usage if there's no customer specific method available, correct?
yes,
And third, and as administrative change, you will correct the extension rules to make sure that the language in that part of the tariff is updated consistent with prior edits made and approved by the commission, correct?
yes.
Ms. Cart, at this point, Your Honor, I move in 5, 6, and 7, subject to any potential objections on 7 once it's reviewed.
Okay, great. So let's mark 7, and yeah, I can admit 5 and 6, and 7 will be received. There'll be a period of time. It's a 3-day window for objections to documents filed after the hearing. So at that point in time, the exhibit will go in without further order.
Ms. Carter, have you reviewed the surrebuttal testimony of the PSCW witnesses?
Yes, I have.
And do you have surrebuttal testimony you would like to provide in response?
Yes,
Does MPU have a position on PSCW witness Kathleen Butzloff's suggestion that
I'm
MPU?
sorry, Mr. Callisto, can you start that question again?
Sure. Does MPU have a position on PSCW witness Kathleen Butzloff's suggestion that MPU remove from rate base those portions of the continuous microfiltration or CMF treatment plant that are not currently in use?
yes. In rebuttal testimony, MPU proposed as an alternative to forego a return on the CMF treatment plant based on Ms. Butzloff's preference to focus on the specific elements of the CMF treatment plant that are not currently in use. MPU is modifying its proposal and supports foregoing a return on the portions of the CMF treatment plant that are currently not in use. This proposal, while similar to Ms. Butzloff's in its more surgical approach, would allow MPU to continue to earn a return of the complete CMF treatment plant. MPU witness Robert Michelson provides rebuttal testimony supporting MPU's continued position that it should recover depreciation on the full CMF treatment plant. In support of his testimony, I have calculated in Exhibit MPU-Carter-5 the elimination of a return on the unused portions of the CMF treatment plant. As described further by Mr. Michelson, that unused portion is the treatment hardware itself. The elimination of return on this equipment with the net book value, average value of $1,280,077 results in a retail rate decrease of $80,645, or 1.7% overall to MPU's rates. This exhibit was uploaded to the PSCW website on July 27th and discussed with staff prior to today's hearing.
Why does MPU's suggested approach to eliminate the return on, but not of, the currently unused portion of the CMF treatment plant make sense from an accounting perspective?
If the CMF treatment plant was retired with remaining value on the books, MPU would seek recovery for those costs because the asset was prudently deployed and prematurely retired for reasons that made economic sense to MPU's ratepayers at the time the decisions were made. If recovery in a retirement scenario makes sense, then I believe it also makes sense when the asset still may be fully redeployed.
Have you reviewed the surrebuttal testimony of PSCW witness Alex Hanna?
Yes,
And do you have an additional exhibit that recalculates rates based upon MPU's modified proposal to not seek a return on portions of the CMF treatment plant that are not currently being used?
yes. Mr. Hanna asked for an updated exhibit reflecting MPU's proposed approach. I am providing as exhibit MPU-Carter-6 an updated cost of service study and rate design that fully reflects MPU's proposal to eliminate recovery of a return on the unused portion of the CMF treatment plant. This exhibit was also uploaded to the PSCW website on July 27th and subsequently discussed with PSCW staff. This is a modification of my exhibit MPU-Carter-2 in the following ways. On the tab labeled Schedules, I removed the unused CMF treatment plant net book value from rate base on Schedule 3 and 3A, with those changes highlighted in pink. Those changes adjusted the increased request downward by $80,645 as a reduction in the return. On the tab labeled COSSNIRB, I removed the unused CMF treatment plant net book value from rate base on Schedule 2, with those changes highlighted in pink. On the tab labeled Volume Rates, I adjusted the proposed block rates to get the values in the table titled Revenue Percent of COSS close to 100% in total, while leaving the class split similar to staff's proposal.
How are the results of this updated cost of service study and rate design different than your Exhibit 2?
The primary change is a reduction in the retail rate increase from approximately 24.3% to 22.6%, or a decrease of 1.7%.
Ms. Butzloff suggests that the MPU proposal to provide updates to the commission on the status of the CMF treatment plant does not incent MPU to return the CMF treatment plant to service or to adjust customer rates for its non-use. Is that accurate?
No. First, portions of the CMF plant are being used as described by Mr. Michelson. Also, MPU is keenly aware of customer rates and the impact they have on everyone in the service territory. A portion of the CMF treatment plant continues to be used, and MPU has agreed to eliminate from rates the return on the unused portion of the CMF treatment plant. It understands its obligations to customers to provide fair service at just and reasonable rates, and will do so without an artificial deadline to move forward on any necessary changes to the CMF treatment plant. If the commission believes differently after it reviews MPU's proposed report and asks any questions on the same, it can call MPU in for a rate case. I believe strongly that that will not be necessary.
Have you reviewed the surrebuttal testimony of PSCW witness Kaylee Keno?
Yes,
And do you have surrebuttal testimony in response to that?
yes. Ms. Keano argues that Wisconsin Administrative Code, Chapter 185, requires a deferred payment agreement for all customers, including those who tamper with their meter, and that at most MPU could take into consideration the tampering as a reason to require a larger down payment of the deferred payment agreement pursuant to Wisconsin Administrative Code, PSC Section 185.383D.
Do you agree that the commission should follow Ms. Keano's interpretation of the rule?
No. In addition to the arguments made in my rebuttal testimony supporting MPU's right to not provide service to these customers, I note that Wisconsin Administrative Code PSC Section 185.378 provides an exclusive list of reasons why utility service may not be refused, and failure to pay all reasonable costs associated with tampering with the meter is not among those exceptions.
Do you agree with Ms. Keano's rebuttal interpretation of the interplay between the code provisions on deferred payment agreements and the code provisions that allow for refusal of service?
No. In my rebuttal testimony, and as just supplemented, I noted the clear basis in Wisconsin Administrative Code PSC Section 185.37 for MPU to refuse service. If a customer takes one of the actions that allow refusal of service under 185.372, then service need not be provided. Ms. Keano suggests that if service is offered subsequent to meter tampering, Section 185.381 of the code requires that a deferred payment agreement must be offered. A utility is allowed to not provide service at all to someone who tampers with the meter as plainly provided by the code. As such, it makes no sense that if, in the utility's discretion, it decides to restart service, outstanding monies owed must be allowed to be paid in installments. The sanction of no water service provided in the limited instances described by 185.372 makes no reference of such a requirement, and it makes no sense to have the utility bend over backwards to provide such flexibility to someone who breaks the law. If the offender wants to get water service restored, they should pay up all costs incurred to date. The code requires nothing more, and the tariff changes proposed by MPU reasonably would require nothing less.
Is there another basis to support MPU's proposed tariff changes to the meter tampering tariff?
Yes, as noted in my rebuttal testimony, MPU has parallel language in its electric tariff, and there is no rational reason to treat meter tampering water customers differently. And while MPU believes the administrative code language plainly allows for the proposed changes to Schedule X4 relating to customers who tamper with meters, even if it doesn't, that does not prohibit the changes proposed by MPU. That is because the commission has explicit authority through its own rules to make exceptions to administrative code language. Wisconsin Administrative Code PSC Section 185.114 provides the commission with authority to make utility-specific exceptions to rules that would otherwise apply. To the extent the commission narrowly interprets its existing rules to not allow what MPU has proposed, MPU has provided factual support for an exception to the rules. The commission should provide MPU the authority to make those who bypass or damage water meters pay for the damage before they can again receive water.
Do you agree with Ms. Keano's suggestion that the commission should establish a fixed rate for the cost of investigating meter tampering?
No. Thankfully, these are rare events and each one has unique issues associated with it, such that generalization of cost is not supported. It is unlike reconnection, which is a recurring event. MPU will provide itemized costs of investigating tampering, and if a customer disagrees with those, there is a process at the commission to resolve the dispute.
Does that conclude your rebuttal testimony?
Yes.
Witnesses available for cross.
Okay, so before we go further with that, I just wanted to make sure we have the Carter direct rebuttal exhibits 1 through 6 received, and 7 is received pending the filing and any subsequent objections there. But I just wanted to make a general note that all the documents we reviewed on the offered evidence list are received, but for the ones filed, I guess really filed from rebuttal on. So we'll need to make sure we can move the rest of the documents in when we get to those witnesses. Okay, but at this point, let's have cross. So who do we have? Do we have questions for witness Carter?
Yes, Your Honor. The commission staff has questions for
Okay.
witness Carter.
Okay, go ahead.
Have you had a chance to review exhibit PSC-Butzlaff-11, which was filed yesterday?
It's off the record for a second. Can you just introduce yourself to the witness?
Oh,
please?
sorry. Stephanie Bedford, Assistant General Counsel, representing commission staff.
Let's get back on the record.
Have
And-
you had, sorry, ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you had a chance to review exhibit PSC-Butzlaff-11, which was filed yesterday?
Yes, I have.
Do you agree that this exhibit shows the calculation for both the ROR and the depreciation expense on CMF treatment plant assets currently not in use?
Yes, I do.
And is the calculation of the depreciation expense correct?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. That concludes our cross.
Your Honor, just brief redirect.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Carter, does the anticipated admission of exhibit PSC Butzlaff-11 and the questions just asked of you by PSC counsel change any of the conclusions made in your pre-filed testimony or sir rebuttal testimony?
No, it does not.
No further questions.
Okay. I did have a clarification question, unfortunately, about this tariff disconnection issue. Didn't really want to have to get into this, but it did come to mind. I think maybe the commission it would be useful for them to understand the rationale for making the suggestion for the X4 tariff, and especially in the context that was raised during the Sursa rebuttal, that even if the rules, with some interpretations may prevent what the utility is requesting, that the commission may waive those rules, and that I think the commission would need a basis for doing that. And I think the witness did express what she thought was a basis for that. But I was just curious, just to get a little more information, if there's a problem with tampering in the service territory, in the utility service territory, that it's seeking to remedy, or if it's having experiences where it's not able to get full payment for costs that were for service that was received during tampering. Does it have any evidence to provide the commission as to the rationale for seeking the change? And then, in light especially of the statement that these are rare occurrences that the witness did make. So along those, so given all that, if the utility could just elaborate a little bit about the situation it's facing that may be driving the reason for seeking the change in tariff.
Ms. Carter, do you have additional detail to provide as to why MPU is seeking the tariff modification associated with recovering costs from meter tampering customers on the water side?
Yeah, I would just say that the real driver here is consistency for between the electric utility and the water utility. It's the same customer service reps and the same meter technicians that are dealing with both of these challenges, electric meter tampering and water meter tampering. So ideally, it would be we're requesting this so we can follow the same process for remedying these situations.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. And then it should come to no surprise that the meters are actually different in technology and substance between electric and water meters. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just one more question. Do you know of any other water utilities that have language that you propose in their tariffs?
I do not.
Okay. All right. That's all I have then. Okay. Any redirect on that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thanks. All right. Any other cross for this witness based on what I was asking?
No cross, Your
Okay.
Honor.
All right. Okay, I think that's it then. You're excused. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, who's our next witness?
Manitowoc Public Utilities will call Rob Michelson.
All right. There you are. Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Michelson, did you cause file direct and rebuttal
Hang on
testimony
just a
and
second.
exhibits
Off the
received?
record for a second. You're just having a little trouble hearing you.
It's breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up on your mic. Maybe just getting closer.
Sure. Are you able to hear me now? Does that work well?
I
Are you
think
able to hear
so.
me?
I think so. Your connection looks like it's going a little bit slower, like you're not in sync with your audio and video. So maybe perhaps just slowing down a little so that technology could keep up with you. The speed of the internet here may be challenging for us. All right. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and continue with your questions? Thanks.
Mr. Michelson, did you cause to be filed 2 exhibits and direct and rebuttal testimony in this proceeding?
Yes, I did.
And if asked those same questions today, would you give the same answers?
Yes.
Okay, we did have 3 exhibits.
Do you have
Oh, Michelson, I'm sorry. Go ahead. 2 exhibits, yes.
Do you have any changes or modifications to previous testimony?
No.
And have you reviewed the testimony by PSC staff?
I'm sorry.
We're not hearing you. I'm sorry. So is there?
Your Honor,
Try to do an
so Gary, maybe Your Honor, if he calls in, and meanwhile, I can take this witness and then Mr. Bridgens can call in, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, is this going to be long? Maybe we can just switch over to you, Attorney Callisto.
There's a little bit of sir rebuttal consistent with about the amount that we got from Ms. Carter.
Yeah, it would just be conducive just to switch to you because your audio is working. So if you don't mind, let's do
That's
that.
fine, Gary. Maybe try and call in the interim if that works for a better audio. Thanks.
Okay, so we're going to switch to you, Attorney Callisto, and just begin with the. Do you have those questions?
Michelson, did you cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony and 2 exhibits in this case?
Yes, I did.
And if asked the same questions, would you give the same answers today?
Yes.
And do you have any changes or modifications to your pre-filed testimony or exhibits?
No.
And are they true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Have you reviewed the testimony of PSCW witness Kathleen Butzloff?
Yes.
And do you have sir rebuttal testimony you would like to provide in response to Ms. Butzloff's testimony?
Yes.
What is your response to Ms. Butzloff's comments regarding the useful components of the continuous microfiltration or CMF treatment plant?
Ms. Butzloff requested additional detail on the portions of the CMF plant that are not currently being used. I would like to provide additional information on the CMF treatment plant as a whole, describing both assets being used as well as those not being used. MPU witness Cynthia Carter in exhibit MPU Carter 5 has broken down the CMF treatment plant into the accounting categories used by PSCW staff and water utilities. My description will allow the information in that exhibit, will follow the information in that exhibit, and will work down the 7 categories of assets there as described in column E of that exhibit.
I'm
And
sorry,
you're
in
on-
column, I'm sorry, in column,
Column E.
thank you.
Okay, so let me just get that exhibit on the screen. I should mention, we will be expecting these filed as PDF for the final receipt to the record, but do I have the
That is
correct
it, Your Honor, correct.
Okay. All right, great. Go ahead.
Starting with the CMF treatment plant assets that are currently in use, what is included in the account labeled microfiltration plant dash structures, and how is it currently used?
The assets that are under microfiltration plant structures include the building and overall support systems, such as electrical, lighting, plumbing, and heating and cooling and ventilation, or HVAC. The building currently houses the CMF water treatment system, but also provides space to store spare equipment for both and parts for both the CMF and SMF plants. The 120 volt, 240 volt, and 480 volt electrical systems provide power to the equipment in the building, including chemical feed equipment, air compressors, and HVAC. All of these systems are important to provide support to the SMF plant.
What is included in the account labeled, quote, outfall pipe for microfiltration plant, end quote, and how is it currently used?
The outfall pipe for microfiltration plant is a pipe that allows the backwash water from the CMF and SMF plants to flow back to Lake Michigan. Each treatment plant performs regular backwash of the membranes to help restore membrane permeability. This backwash water is permitted to be returned to Lake Michigan through this pipe. The SMF plant currently discharges about 10% of the total raw water pumped back to Lake Michigan through this outfall pipe, or about 1.4 million gallons per day of backwash water.
What is included in the account labeled, quote, grading type stair W rail for MFP, end quote, and how is it currently used?
This account includes a steel staircase and railing that allows an employee to exit the south end of the CMF plant. This exit is in active use and provides employees access to the south yard and the backwash basin.
What is included in the account labeled, quote, air handling package dash air compressor, end quote, and how is it currently used?
This air handling package generally describes a large fan and ductwork that removes exhaust heat from the top of the CMF air compressors. When the CMF air compressors run, the air handling package is turned on to remove excess heat generated by the air compressors. As noted in my previous testimony in this proceeding, the CMF air compressors provide backup process air to the SMF plant in the event the SMF air compressors have issues.
What is included in the account labeled, quote, safety shower dash microfiltration PLT, end quote, and how is it currently used?
The safety shower is a device that is used to immediately rinse chemicals from an employee in the event of a chemical spill onto the employee. Since there are corrosive chemicals stored in the CMF plant building, this safety shower was provided for employee safety.
What is included in the account labeled, quote, chemical fill lines for bulk WTR storage, end quote, and how is it currently used?
The chemical fill lines provide a means of filling the bulk chemical tanks that are stored in the CMF plant, such as sodium hypochlorite and sulfuric acid. These chemicals are used to clean the SMF membranes to restore permeability for filtering water. These bulk chemical tanks are filled about once a month.
How do the assets you just described currently serve MPU customers?
All of these assets, in part or in whole, support the operation of the SMF treatment plant and are crucial components in how MPU provides safe drinking water to MPU customers.
And moving to the account that includes the assets not currently in use, labeled, quote, new microfiltration plant dash CMF, end quote. What is included in that account?
The CMF assets in this account are the continuous microfiltration plant water treatment equipment. This includes the prepackaged parts, equipment, and membranes that were provided by US Filter Memcor, including mechanical frames, valves, membrane housings, instrumentation and controls, and piping. This equipment is the actual water treatment system that is not in use at this time.
Is it possible, in your professional opinion, that the current CMF treatment plant assets not being used could be put back into service in the future?
Absolutely. The current CMF treatment plant could be put back into service. In 2019, MPU asked US Filter MEMCOR to review the CMF plant and determine if it could be recommissioned. With significant improvements and new membranes, the CMF could be brought back online in its original configuration. However, MPU has learned that the CMF plant could also be retrofit to accept the newer US Filter MEMCOR membranes. This process retains a large portion of the existing water treatment plant building, but a fair portion of the CMF mechanical frames, valves, and original membranes are removed and replaced with an entirely new set of frames with new valves and membranes. This exact CMF plant retrofit was successfully completed in Kenosha in recent years. A third option would include complete removal of the prepackaged CMF water treatment plant equipment and replace it with a new prepackaged water treatment plant system, which could be provided by multiple membrane manufacturers. In an effort to understand the future of the CMF treatment plant, MPU has initiated a master plan to study our water treatment plant capacity and best determine how to meet our water demands. We anticipate this study will be complete later this year.
That concludes your sir rebuttal testimony.
Yes.
The witness is available for cross.
Just want to go off the record for a minute, just to clarify. If you can see the screen share, I wasn't sure I was following. Did we cover line 7? Or I thought we did the chemical fill and then we skipped to unused portion, but maybe it was just hearing it wrong.
We did cover it, Your Honor, I believe.
Okay, all right. I don't know. It's kind of blanked out there. Okay. So fine. All right, let's get back on the record. Any cross?
None for me, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm from Central Rutland County.
Okay, thanks.
Your Honor, we are going to call Mr. Adams. I want to see if Gary was back online and his audio is working, and let him handle this witness if he's available.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, thank you all for your patience. Are you able to hear me at this time?
It's not very clear.
Are you able to hear me?
That's a little better. Did you try calling? You're still using your video?
Yeah, I'm calling in at the moment. And if you're not able to hear me, then Attorney Callisto can take it. But
yeah,
I think the best audio.
Yeah, I don't see you. You're not joining us. I would see you joining by phone, and you're not in the waiting.
I've connected my phone audio to my video here.
So you're still on the internet then. Okay. Yeah, maybe possible if you called in directly using the phone line. That number's on the notice of hearing.
Your Honor, this is a very short witness, I believe, so I think I can handle Mr. Adams.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right, that's fine. So are we done with the what was this? The Carter exhibit?
Yes. MPU calls Troy Adams to the stand.
Okay, there you are. Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. Go ahead.
Mr. Adams, did you cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony on what is currently 3 exhibits in this case?
Yes, I did.
And if asked the same questions, would you give the same answers?
Yes, I would.
Do you have any changes or modifications to your pre-filed testimony or exhibits?
I do not.
And are they true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
They are.
And are you proposing as a new exhibit for the public notice issued by MPU in this case?
Yes, I am.
And on your behalf, MPU will file that subsequent to this hearing?
Yes.
Your Honor, we move in Exhibit 4, and with that, Mr. Adams is available for cross.
Okay, I think there'll be any objections there. I just had one question about that notice. I don't think it was clear on the document how customers were notified. Is that a mailing? Was that a bill insert?
I believe it was a bill insert.
Okay, and just for, I guess I was a little confused. Do you bill monthly?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, thanks. That's all I have for that. Okay, so we're ready for cross. Any questions for witness Adams?
Nothing from Central Brown County.
Nothing from PSC staff either.
Okay, all right, thanks. That's it then. You're excused. So let's move on with Central Brown County. Who do we want to call first?
Our first witness will be Nicholas Sparacio.
All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Sure. Nicholas Sparacio,
And by whom are you employed and what is your position?
Central Brown County Water Authority, and their general manager.
Did you submit written direct testimony in this proceeding on June 16th, 2023, and rebuttal testimony on July 7th, 2023?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes you would like to make to that testimony?
No changes.
Is that testimony true and correct?
Yes.
Have you reviewed the rebuttal testimony filed by PSC staff witnesses in this proceeding?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any response you would like to make to the rebuttal testimony filed by Kathleen Butzloff?
Yes, I would like to respond to the rebuttal testimony.
Could you go ahead?
Sure. So I'd like to respond to Ms. Busloff's rebuttal testimony regarding the reasonableness of the financial benefits amounts. Foundationally, I would first point out that MPU and CBCWA have reached agreement on the benefit amounts that should be included in the purchased water rate, and those benefit amounts are provided in our memorandum of understanding. As further background, I would point out, according to Ms. Butzloff herself, the agreed upon benefit payment to MPU retail customers and the utility is equal to or greater than if the amounts were estimated through standard revenue requirement methods. This statement was made in Butzloff Exhibit 1 at page 5. Given this background, if the agreed upon benefit payment to MPU retail customers and the utility is equal to or greater than if the amounts were estimated through standard revenue requirements, as Ms. Butzloff states, the benefit amounts agreed to by CBCWA and MPU should be found to be reasonable. Ms. Butzloff does not explain how the benefit payments could not be reasonable if they're equal to or greater than the amounts estimated through standard revenue requirement methods.
Do you have any other response you would like to make to Ms. Butzloff's testimony?
Yes, one other concern. I am concerned that Ms. Butzloff's testimony on the reasonableness of the financial benefit only looks at the impact of this benefit payment on MPU's retail customers. No consideration has been given to the reasonableness of this benefit payment on CBCWA or its customers. The PSC's responsibility is to establish rates that are fair and reasonable for all MPU ratepayers, including CBCWA. Central Brown County Water Authority is an MPU ratepayer as well.
Do you have a response to Ms. Butzloff's statement in her rebuttal testimony on page 4 that MPU's and CBCWA's agreement on what is a reasonable financial benefit is not binding on the commission?
Yes, I understand that our agreement is not binding on the commission. However, it is important to recognize that MPU and CBCWA agree on the amounts that they consider to be reasonable financial benefit payments. If the commission rejects this agreement and adopts some other methodology or amount that is opposed by the parties, either MPU or CBCWA may choose to challenge that decision. The working relationship between MPU and CBCWA could be seriously harmed if their agreement of the financial benefit payments issues is disregarded by the commission.
Have you reviewed the surrebuttal testimony of Alex Hanna?
Yes.
Do you have any response to that surrebuttal testimony?
Yes, I'd like to respond to that surrebuttal testimony. On page 2 in particular, Mr. Hanna comments on my statement that, quote, MPU's rate to CBCWA is to include financial benefits to MPU retail ratepayers and the city, in addition to other costs that are allocated to CBCWA under traditional PSC rate making for wholesale customers, end quote. I would like to clarify that in my rebuttal testimony, I was not referring to the financial benefits as being allocated under traditional PSC rate making. While the financial benefits are included in the purchased water rate, I was referring to the allocation of MPU's operation and maintenance costs as following traditional PSC rate making. MPU's operation and maintenance costs are allocated between MPU retail customers and the CBCWA as set forth in the MOU between the parties. For further clarification, CBCWA pays for its share of certain O&M costs like electricity and chemicals on a pass-through basis and pays for the remainder of its share of operation and maintenance costs through its purchased water rate. The purchased water rate paid by CBCWA covers its allocated share of these O&M costs and the financial benefit payment to MPU retail ratepayers in the city of Manitowoc. I acknowledge that the method of determining the amounts for the financial benefits and the use of pass-through costs fall outside of traditional PSC rate making due to the complexities of the contract between MPU and CBCWA.
Thank you. I have no further questions, and Mr. Sparacio is available for cross-examination.
Any questions?
None from MPU.
None from the commission, Your Honor.
All right, great. Thanks very much. You're excused.
Our next witness is Eric Granum.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Could you please state your name for the record?
Eric Granum.
And by whom are you employed and what is your position?
Trilogy Consulting. I am a principal and senior consultant.
And on whose behalf are you testifying today?
The Central Brown County Water Authority.
Did you submit written direct testimony in this proceeding on June 16th, 2023 and rebuttal testimony on July 7th, 2023?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes you would like to make to that testimony?
No, I do not.
Is the testimony you submitted true and correct?
Yes, it is.
Have you reviewed the surrebuttal testimony filed by PSC staff witnesses in this proceeding?
Yes.
In her surrebuttal testimony at page 4, Ms. Butzloff asserts that if MPU has experienced an increase in plant investment and operating expenses, then it may be reasonable that the benefit amount to MPU ratepayers in the city of Manitowoc also increase. Do you agree with that statement?
No, I disagree with that statement. Increases in plant investment and operating expenses have no relevance to the benefit amounts paid to MPU ratepayers and the city of Manitowoc. Increases to operation and maintenance expenses have no impact on the benefit amounts because CBCWA already pays MPU for its full share of increased O&M through its pass-through rate and purchase water rate. The memorandum of understanding that was negotiated by CBCWA and MPU clearly laid out how O&M is allocated between the parties, and this method was accepted by PSC staff. It is worth noting that increases to operation and maintenance expenses differ greatly by category, as shown in Ms. Butzlaff's Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 4. The combined amount in staff's estimate from 2011 in the categories of expenses that CBCWA shares in, which are source of supply, pumping, and water treatment, is $2,325,000. PSC staff's current estimate for these same categories is $2,054,000, a decrease of about $271,000. Conversely, the estimate for transmission and distribution expenses, which CBCWA does not share in, has increased by about $477,000 or 61%. General and administrative expenses, which CBCWA partially shares in, increased by about $389,000 or 48%. Given these different increases in cost categories, CBCWA's share of the O&M cost increases is naturally less than MPU Retail's share of increased O&M costs. New plant investment also has no relevance to the benefit amounts. Most of the gross plant investment MPU has made since 2011 has been in its distribution system assets, which CBCWA does not pay for. Based on a review of the cost of service exhibits from the 2011 rate case in Butzlaff Exhibit 8 and the current rate case, HANA Exhibit 1, utility plant and service has increased by a total of $10,658,700 since 2011. Only $798,132 of that total increase, or 7.5%, is in source of supply, pumping plant, and treatment plant combined. CBCWA already contributed the capital cost associated with the water supply facilities needed for MPU to be able to serve CBCWA. MPU investment in facilities not used to provide service to CBCWA should have no impact on the benefit amounts. With respect to other operating expenses, mainly depreciation and the payment in lieu of taxes, these are directly related to the increase in plant, which, as I've already mentioned, has mostly been in the distribution system that CBCWA does not share in. The benefit amounts from CBCWA to MPU are not connected to MPU's expenses and investments. I believe it would be unreasonable to increase the amount of the benefits paid by CBCWA based on MPU's increase in expenses.
In her rebuttal testimony at page 4, Ms. Butzlaff suggests that if the customer benefit has remained unchanged since 2011, then it would essentially be a declining benefit. Do you have any response to that statement?
Yes, Ms. Butzlaff appears to compare the benefits to expenses which tend to increase with inflation over time. I do not agree with this comparison, as the benefits are not the same as expenses. I view the benefits as partially replacing the return on investment and pilot that could be collected if MPU had paid to construct the water supply facilities needed to serve CBCWA. But since CBCWA contributed the capital cost associated with the water supply facilities needed for MPU to serve them, there is little to no rate base used to serve CBCWA on which MPU can earn a return. The financial benefit to MPU ratepayers included in the purchase water rate partially replaces the return on investment that would otherwise have been charged on those contributed assets. In 2011, those contributed assets had a depreciated value of approximately $22.6 million. Today, those assets have a depreciated value of about $14.2 million. If MPU were earning a return on these investments, that return would have declined since 2011. As assets age and are depreciated, a declining amount of return is what would be expected until new replacement assets are constructed. Similarly, in the water purchase agreement, the city of Manitowoc agreed not to charge a pilot on the assets paid for by CBCWA. The financial benefit to the city included in the purchase water rate replaced a portion of the pilot that would otherwise be charged on these contributed assets and collected from all of its customers. The value of these contributed assets has not changed since 2011. Viewing the benefit amounts in this context, it does make sense that the benefit amounts could remain flat or decline since 2011. It also makes sense that the benefit amounts will be a declining share of the total revenue requirements. As I already explained, MPU's expenses and planned investment to provide service to retail customers have increased. The total investment in assets to serve CBCWA has remained flat, and the net book value of those assets has declined. So benefit amounts in lieu of return on investment and pilot for these assets would be expected to be a declining share of overall revenue requirements.
In Ms. Butzloff's rebuttal testimony at page 4, lines 8 to 9, she states that, quote, neither Mr. Adams nor Mr. Granum explain how the benefits are reasonable for the customers of MPU, end quote. Do you have a response to that statement?
Yes. Ms. Butzloff herself provides evidence demonstrating that the benefits to MPU customers agreed to by MPU and CBCWA are reasonable. In her direct testimony, Ms. Butzloff evaluated the benefit amounts using several alternative methods with results that were either lower or higher than the amounts that have been agreed to by the parties. An amount in between these extremes implies that the agreed upon amount is reasonable. In addition, I believe the totality of the testimony and exhibits prepared by the parties and PSC staff overwhelmingly demonstrates that the agreed upon amounts of the benefits are reasonable.
Do you have any response or comment about Kathleen Butzloff's rebuttal testimony regarding membrane replacements?
Yes, I would object to Ms. Butzloff's suggestion that consideration of money already collected for current and future membrane replacements could be considered retroactive rate making. In fact, I would characterize the proposal to exclude membrane costs from the current rate case to be forward-looking rate making that fully considers the context of this rate case, past rate making decisions, the warranty that MPU has on its membranes, and the amount of funds that have been collected and put aside for membrane replacement to date. I would argue that continued collection of membrane funding is more akin to retroactive rate making by perpetuating a past decision when current information demonstrates that further collection should be eliminated.
Do you have any other response or comment about Ms. Butzloff's rebuttal testimony?
I agree that the commission has a responsibility to regulate utilities and that rates shall be reasonable and just. However, CBCWA, its member utilities, and the customers of its member utilities are also customers of MPU, and the commission should consider that when determining the reasonableness of MPU's rates.
I have no further questions, and Mr. Granum's available for cross-examination.
Any questions from the applicant
No, Your Honor.
and commission staff?
No, Your Honor.
No? Okay. All right. That's it then. Thanks very much. You're excused. Okay, that's all of the party witnesses. So let's move on to commission staff.
Okay, we're gonna call Kathy Butzlaff first.
Okay, see you there. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
Please state your name for the record.
Kathleen Butzloff.
And what is your position at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin?
I am an audit manager in the Department of Water Utility Regulation and Analysis.
Did you file or cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony and 11 exhibits in this case?
Yes, I did.
And is the content of your testimony and exhibits still true and accurate to the best of our knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Do you have any additions or modifications to your testimony or exhibits at this time?
Yes, I would just want to briefly explain Exhibit 11 since it was filed yesterday and make sure that it is clear to anybody reading it. So the first larger box on this exhibit was Exhibit 5, filed by Ms. Carter. And as she already explained, that would be the rate of return portion of the treatment plant assets currently not in use. And if that was excluded from the revenue requirement, it would reduce rates by a little over $80,000 or 1.7%. For information purposes for the commission to consider, I
added two more boxes. One would be the calculation of depreciation expense on those unused assets, which was almost $260,000. And if that was excluded, rates could be reduced 5.57%. And finally, the bottom box shows that if both rate of return and depreciation expense on the unused treatment plant assets were excluded from rates, the total decrease would be a little more than $340,000 or 7.3%.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I do not.
Your Honor, the witness is available for cross-examination.
All right, so just want to check we have any objections to the rebuttal or additional Bootsloff 11? No? Okay, those are in the record. And yeah, great. So any cross questions for this witness?
Nothing
Okay.
from MPU.
Okay.
Nothing from Central Brown County.
All right, great. Thanks. All right, you're excused.
Thank you. The commission calls Kaylee Kiono to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm? Tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Kaylee Keano.
And what is your position at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin?
I'm a consumer affairs analyst in the Division of Digital Access, Consumer and Environmental Affairs.
Did you file or cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony in this case?
Yes, I did.
Is the content of your testimony still true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
And did you have the opportunity to review the testimony of the other parties' witnesses that was submitted in this matter?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any additions or modifications to your testimony at this time?
No, I don't.
Your Honor, the witness is available for cross-examination.
Okay, any questions from the applicant?
Just briefly, Your Honor, Ms. Keono, Eric Callisto for MPU. First of all, my apologies for mispronouncing your name earlier in this proceeding. Were you here when Ms. Carter provided oral sur rebuttal today?
Yes, I was.
And did you hear her testimony concerning potential additional draft tariff language that would add an alternative methodology of determining how much water a bypassing customer could use if the utility wasn't able to make a customer-specific estimate?
Yes.
And at this point, do you have any objection to that additional concept as described by Ms. Carter?
No, I don't.
No further questions.
Okay, any cross from county?
Nothing from Central Brown County.
Okay, and commission staff redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I do want to have the witness clarify. Witness Keano, did your position on the proposed Schedule X4 change in any way based on Witness Carter's testimony?
No.
No, okay. And do you know of any other utility, municipal utility on the water or electric side that has a similar language in its tariff?
No, I'm not aware of any other utility other than MPU's electric utility that has similar language in its tariff.
Okay, perfect. Yep, thanks. Okay, that's all I had. So any redirect for that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks very much. You're excused.
All right, the commission calls Alex Hanna to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm? Tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Alex Hanna.
And what is your position at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin?
I am a public utility rates analyst.
And did you submit direct and rebuttal testimony and 2 exhibits in this case?
Yes, I did.
Are the statements and representations in the testimony and exhibits you filed in this case true and correct?
Yes, they are.
Do you have any additions or modifications to your testimony or exhibits at this time?
No, I do not.
Your Honor, the witness is available for cross-examination.
Questions from the applicant
No, Your Honor.
and from Central Brown County?
No, thank you.
All right. All right, that's it. Thanks very much. You're excused. I'm just gonna turn off our screen share and ask if there's anything else we need to handle on the record.
Your Honor, I would just ask that you check back in with MPU to make sure there's nobody who's appeared physically for the public hearing.
Ah, yes, thank you for reminding me. Let's see if we can, so if you're hearing us, the people back in MPU, the office.
Yes, there's no one else that came.
Okay, thanks very much. And I do not see anyone joining us online from the public, so we have no public comments to take at this time. Appreciate the reminder. And anything else we need to deal with on the record? We do have our post-hearing schedule already set, so to the extent parties wish to brief the case, there's an opportunity to do so, as well as the refiling deadlines and transcription correction process already established in the schedule.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I do have one thing to offer.
Sure.
If the court reporter would like to see the written version of our SIR, I can distribute that to her in the distribution list as well.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Okay, if there's nothing else, then thanks very much, everyone. We're adjourned.